Hey, what's going on? It's Matt with the DPI podcast. Today is February the 7th. What am I hearing? Oh, that's what I'm hearing. Are you too fat for Tron? That's kind of where we're going tonight. Peter's shaking his head over on the other screen. But that's the conversation that we're getting out of Walt Disney World right now, is that there are some problems with those restraints. We're going to talk about it a little bit more with Peter here tonight. Another top 3 episode. Stick around for that. And yeah, welcome to tonight's show. Here we go. Hi, I'm Matt. Welcome to Disney Planning Insights. Through creative content and live shows, we explain the hidden details of the Disney experience so that our clients can execute memorable adventures. Together with Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel, we have helped hundreds of clients plan, book, and prepare for magical Disney vacations. Let our experience help you avoid common planning mistakes and maximize the enjoyment on your next Disney trip. Hey, what's going on? It is Matt with the DPI podcast. Big show tonight. We've got Peter with Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel. We are doing a new segment. We have a top 3 segment, and we'll see about a client question or something like that. We might actually use something that we're doing as a client question. So we'll see once we get to that point what it looks like. But thanks for joining us today, February the 7th, 2023. We've got a lot going on around the parks, so let's go ahead and jump into it with Peter from Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel. Salvadori, yeah, that was close. Mr. Salvadori, how are we doing tonight?
Good.
I mean, come on. With an intro like that, how could you be doing any better?
Yeah.
So, anything big going on with the family this week?
No, which is very exciting because in a couple weeks we go into championship season. So it is the calm before the storm, as it is.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. Completely understand. Well, let's go ahead and let's get into the news. First thing, did you watch last week's episode to see what I was doing to you?
Oh, no, I didn't. I completely forgot about that by the time we ended.
Yeah, you will definitely have to check that out because it is funny, and it gives us room to have a bunch of new ideas as well as part of that, because basically I can do repeatable sounders now. So, and since I've got a soundboard here in front of me, I can kind of do whatever I want now. So it's a lot of fun. So big news, cast preview started for Tron, and really the news that came out is the ride is short. We should have all known that. It's a clone of Shanghai. It's 90 seconds long. And B, the ride restraints do not accommodate Americans for some reason. Because, it was designed for the Chinese, and it's the same ride vehicle. So a lot of people were having problems getting properly fit into the ride. They do have some larger cars at the end of each train. But kind of go through, how do you make sure that this doesn't happen, and what happens if it does happen to you?
Yeah, like you said, so just in general, shorter and more petite, just as kind of a blanket statement, and then everybody will be like, what are you talking about? Yao Ming. Okay, yeah, that was that one guy. Right, so yeah, so just in general, the ride vehicles are, like you kind kind of mentioned, they're an exact clone. Pretty much the entire ride, outside of a few architectural details, is pretty much a clone of what's over in Shanghai. And as a result, the average park goer to Disney World is slightly larger than the average park goer to Shanghai. And so there have been some issues with, and when you hear that, you go, well, you know, immediately people go, oh, well, you know, that's a plus size individual. Well, no, it's also height. It's height issues they're running into as well, that individuals over about 6'4", 6'5" are having difficulty kind of tucking their legs in a way that gets them to fit into this vehicle. If you've ever been on Flight of Passage, the best thing or the most similar experience I can explain to you on this Tron vehicle is very similar to that, but instead of in Flight of Passage, once you get your legs tucked, you kind of sit upright. In this, you have to really like hunch over for the back support to come and kind of lock you in from the back. And so all we can say, I mean, outside of postponing the opening, I can't imagine they'll do that. Outside of like completely going to a redesign on the ride vehicle, can't imagine they'll do that. If you don't fit, you are just going to have to go into kind of like a side queue for those. There's a couple of back rows, but it's not even on every train. It's on like 2 of the 4 or whatever it is trains have the 2 back rows that are more accommodating, that have a much larger restraint. What I would recommend you do outside of the front, there are tester seats, and there is a standard tester seat and a larger tester seat. I would, if you're worried about either your height or your measurements, making it so that you won't be able to fit onto a standard seat, I recommend before you even get in line to go try out those tester seats. And that way, when you get up there, if you do know that you'll have to go for the more accommodating seat, that you get up to that ride platform and immediately say, I tried the seats out front, I know I'm going to need the accommodating seat, so that it expedites that whole process for you and your party. Because if you imagine, like, you try to get on, you don't fit, so they pull you, well, now they also have to pull your party, which slows down the load process. Or they pull you and your party goes without you, which you don't want and Disney doesn't want as well.
Yeah.
So knowing and being prepared is the best way that a guest can eliminate or negate as much negativity and issue with this as possible for all people involved, yourself and cast members included.
Yeah, so another thing that I saw was larger calves were having an issue because one of the restraints comes out like in behind that knee crease, and they were having problems clearing people that had some larger calves. So another thing there. And remember that they are running 7 trains right now, so you're going to have 14 of those accommodating seats in a rotation. So it is, yeah, it's kind of a pain in the ass, but if you are prepared when you get up to the load station, it's going to make the whole process a lot smoother. So, you know, bite the bullet, do the test seat, and then understand when you get up into the load station where you need to go. So moving on, we've got Garden Rocks coming back to Epcot this year. Lots of good musical acts coming. You got Blue Oyster Cult, Smash Mouth Berlin, the Pointer Sisters, Starship, Switchfoot, Kool and the Gang, Herman's Hermits, ELO, Rick Springfield, The Plain White Tee, Simple Plan. Lots of good artists. As I see Simple Plan, I'm like, how do I get down there in June? Because I love Simple Plan. It's a great show. So where is Garden Rocks at, and what do they do with this to get preferred seating and that kind of stuff?
Well, so as with all concerts, it's going to happen back in the American Pavilion at that stage there. And then in terms of preferred seating, what you can do when you're booking dining, especially if you know that there is a band that you want to see, several restaurants offer Garden Rocks dining packages. Coral Reef and the Rose and Crown Pub are just two that quickly come to mind, but Garden Grill does as well, and some others. But regardless, basically what you can do when you get into your dining, or your travel agent can do, is when you're searching for it, it'll show up as its own separate thing. So don't go to Coral Reef or Garden Grill or Rose and Crown. Go to the Rocks dining package, and then once you're in that dining package, then it will show you the restaurants and their available times, where you can book a reservation for the restaurant and also get preferred seating, where you'll go to a different side of the amphitheater. You'll go in first before the general wait queue and get some of those better seats, those more centralized seats, those more forward rows. And when you book, it will also show you your Garden Rocks dining as well as your concert time, so you can make sure. The system's pretty intuitive, so it won't like give you a 4 o'clock reservation with a 4:30 concert. It'll give you like the 4 o'clock reservation with the 6:30 concert, so on and so forth. The biggest tip there, though, is what I just said. Don't book the restaurant. Find Garden Rocks if you're interested in getting that preferred seating, and then book the restaurant through that menu.
Correct. So good tips there. Definitely want to check that out if you're a fan of any of those bands. There's a lot more. Basically, it's every weekend through Flower and Garden. So go to the Disney Parks blog. They've got a full list of all the artists that will be there. You can also find it on our Twitter page at DPI or at Disney Insights over on Twitter. Wow, I am out of it today. Good news on the Disney hotel front. Housekeeping will be back in full force by the end of the month for all resorts. This is kind of something that went away with COVID. Then it was like, hey, if you want housekeeping, just let us know. And then it was like, we'll do it every other day. And now they're bringing it back to every night. Good. I like this. I mean, part of a Disney vacation is kind of the vacation part, having, somebody else clean up for you and make your bed and that kind of stuff. So I'm glad it's coming back. It's just a good sign in the right direction. We've been talking about, when do, the dining plans come back and that kind of stuff. All these things have to get in place, and it's all staffing right now. So good things there. I want to spend a little bit of time on this Reedy Creek thing. So Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, back when Disney did some political stuff, said, hey, we're going to dissolve Reedy Creek. And basically Reedy Creek is the special district that lets the taxpayers within the district fund the fire department for the parks, the ambulance service for the parks, some of the utility services for the parks. And it was all kind of its own self-contained little city because of this special district. And DeSantis was like, hey, we're going to blow it up. So the Florida legislature actually entered a bill into the floor today. And basically all it does is rename it and give term limits to the board members. And that's it. But... what are your thoughts on, I guess let's start on the Reedy Creek district as a whole, and then kind of this whole little back and forth between DeSantis and Disney.
Yeah, it's really, I don't know, I try to stay away from political conversations and topics, but the whole idea that, because it is, we kind of talked about this before, Disney is sort of like its own little city, similar in many ways to like the Vatican City is in comparison to Italy and Rome, and in similar ways to what Washington, D.C. is in comparison to Maryland. And like Disney sort of has now their Florida residents and Florida taxpayers and things like that, but they sort of had like autonomy when it came to developing land and getting permits and creating construction orders, and all of these various things that if you were anywhere else in the greater Florida area, there would be zoning things that you had to go through, whereas Disney got to kind of decide their own zoning limits. whereas you would have to put these architectural requests in to large construction committees and boards in the government. Disney sort of was able to just sort of like work their way around all of that red tape. So it was already kind of interesting that Disney sort of had this, I don't know, governmental tax-based workaround in comparison to other places like SeaWorld and Universal and all of those types of things. So just from the standpoint of, it was probably an antiquated agreement that probably needed looking into at some point. Of course, Chapek stirred the pot by going very, very aggressively at arguably one of the more willing to take you head-on governors in all of the 50 states of the United States of America. And so, now, granted, after stepping back in, Iger's tried to dial this down a little bit. That's one of the first things that he did, was start to have some of those conversations. And so I do think, because, right, DeSantis, this all started, DeSantis created like a special committee to overview the ins and outs of the Reedy Creek Agreement and to create this bill and create this resolution to be brought forth. I truly think that if Chapek were still in charge, the resolution being brought to the Florida House today would have been vastly different than the one that ultimately did get brought to the House. It's almost, I think Iger and maybe DeMauro and whoever else the powers that be maybe did a little bit of
damage control.
Yeah, and politicking.
Yes.
And things along those lines. Because the resolution brought today is not at all what it felt like the blood that DeSantis was out for, about a year ago-ish is when it all started. So, So it's very interesting. It strips away a little bit of the power, but not really much. It just causes more governmental oversight ultimately over what Reedy Creek has been and will be able to do.
Yeah, and basically, like I said, that it has a name change, and it's going to be the Orlando Tourism District or something. So Central Florida Tourism Oversight District. Right. Again, I think it's a big nothing burger so that nobody loses face. It is really what it is. We're getting down to the end, so a couple of things rapid fire here. The Hyperion Theater... the Hyperion Theater over at Disneyland is getting a new show. It's either going to be Rogers the Musical or a Hercules show. They haven't announced yet, but that is what it's pointing to. Rumor, Pico's Bill, Telltale Inn, Cafe to be redeemed at Magic Kingdom. We hit on this a couple of weeks ago. It only makes sense that Tiana gets a restaurant somewhere over there to increase that presence. Pico's Bill's the easiest solution over there. Earnings call coming up this week. Be ready for cost-cutting measures and possibly layoffs, hiring freezes, that kind of stuff coming from Disney. Disney lost a ton of money on the streaming side. They need to figure out a way to make that up a little bit. And I think that's it.
Anything but Mandalorian.
Anything but Mandalorian. Yes. Yeah. March 1st. We've been waiting 3 damn years for that.
Yeah, and to be honest, I want more Obi-Wan as well.
Yeah, I liked Obi-Wan. Last thing, I knew there was one more thing. 3 really unique characters popped up at Hollywood Studios, and they're going to be mainstays. Powerline Max, Edna Mode, and Frozone. All jumped in Hollywood Studios last week, and they've been around all week, so this is going to be one of those things.
And it totally makes sense because those characters were part of the cavalcade, and so why wouldn't you continue to use the costumes more regularly as the cavalcade becomes less and less frequent over the months? So I didn't realize all of these. I need to go down March 12th. I need to go down on
the Garden Rock stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I need to go down May 28th. I need to just stay through June 5th. Oh my goodness. Some of these bands down here.
And what should I get?
Yeah, it's a good lineup. It's a really good lineup. Definitely go over to our Twitter page at Disney Insights. Check out that repost from Disney Parks blog. Hey,
March 12th is Smash Mouth. I cannot imagine a more perfect experience in my life than hearing how I am an all-star while drinking in America in Epcot.
It's the Disney experience. I mean,
oh my God, that would be yeah.
All right, you know what time it is, right?
Yeah, I'm ready to write down my. I don't have anything to write.
You don't have anything? Okay, it's top 3 time. Let's go. Business trip.
Did the people move around?
It does tingle a little bit. That is my all-time favorite intro. Welcome to Top 3 from the DPI podcast. I'm Matt. That's Peter over across from me. He's that way, I guess. There. I actually get to point like right at your screen. It makes it easy. So what Top 3 is I have a group of 25 topics. 25 corresponding poker chips. I'm going to pull one out. We're going to match it up, and we are going to have 20 seconds to figure out what our top 3 for that topic is. If you have any ideas, definitely let us know over at the website, patm disneytravel.wixsite.com/planning. And up in the top corner, there'll be a little box that you can put your suggestion in. And you can also request trip information while you're there. So it's great to do. And then if you don't, agree with our picks, how dare you? Put your answers down in the comments. Let us know. We love to have that interaction. So tonight we have chip number 3. So let me go over here to our handy dandy chartinator.
Sit down in a thinking chair and think.
Hey, this is a good one. We talked about dining plans coming back. Let's do our top 3 character meals.
I got dibs on my number 1, and you better not take it.
I'm using it as my number. No, I won't. I won't.
That's my number 3. I'm gonna do it.
You have 20 seconds. Here we go.
Planning your first trip and getting overwhelmed by all the details? Planning your next trip and just want some new suggestions on things you haven't tried? Contact me at Princess and the Mouse Travel, and I'd love to work with you planning your next trip to the most magical place on earth.
You can contact Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel on Facebook at PATM Disney Travel. All right, we're back. It is top 3, and it is our top 3 character meals. And I'm going to go ahead and start. We've got some great ones picked up, but I'm going to go with a classic for number 3, and I'm going to go over to the contemporary and do Chef Mickey's. I mean, it's one of those things that if you've never done Disney before and you've got small kids, it's almost a must-do for any family just to get that experience, to be in the contemporary, to ride the monorail over there, to experience Chef Mickey's, which is just kind of in the middle of the contemporary. It's a great atmosphere. You get Mickey, you get Minnie, you get you get Goofy, you get Donald.
Yeah, Pluto.
Or Pluto, yeah. And great atmosphere. They've got their songs, their celebration song. It's a buffet, so a mediocre to above mediocre food. I mean, I'm just going to be completely honest. In the spectrum of Disney food, a lot of these character buffets are going to be roughly the same. But you can do a breakfast buffet, you can do a dinner, lunch and dinner buffets there, and they do reservations basically from like 7 o'clock in the morning until almost 10 o'clock at night. So long day at the park, go do Chef Mickey's at the end of your day. Really cool way to end your day. But my number 3 over at the Contemporary, Chef Mickey's. Peter, what's your number 3?
Just so you know, as I was thinking about character meals, I thought of Chef Mickey, but then I went, nah, Matt will put that in his character. Okay, so let's see. For my number 3, I am going to go over to Animal Kingdom. And over in Animal Kingdom, at Tusker House, you will find some of the similar characters to what Matt just said, except now it's Donald Safari. So in addition to Donald, He'll of course invite his pal Mickey and Goofy and Pluto, but now Daisy's going to be there in place of Minnie because it is Donald's safari. The reason why I love this is, first of all, it has breakfast. It's one of the few places in Animal Kingdom where you can sit down and have a breakfast, so that's great. On top of that, once you get through breakfast, the menu switches to African inspired. Now you're still going to have all those favorite kiddie items, the mac and cheeses, corn dogs, chicken fingers, that type of stuff. But then on the adult side of things, very, very delicious, authentic African cuisine flavors. And so one of the things that I like to see out of my character meals is a dining experience in addition to the character meet and greet. And so I really love that about Tusker House. And on top of that, the characters are just unique because they're all in their safari gear. So they're all wearing their, forest green vests and their safari hats and got their binoculars hanging around. And so I also really enjoy that. Matt went with kind of the other thing, like all of them are running around in chef clothes because you're to believe that the Fab Five are your cooks for the evening over at Contemporary. Well, over here, we're getting ready to go on a safari. It themes really, really well if you're about to head off and do the safari ride. If you kind of bundle Tusker House around that, just kind of makes a really nice, really immersive experience for you if you head over to Tusker House.
Yeah, and even on the breakfast side, they have the chicken curry, which is a good, strong African flavor dish there as well. So even with the breakfast, you get a little bit of that flavor as well. So let's go ahead and let's get to our number 2 choices. All right. So my number 2, I'm trying to juggle a few things here, and Shannon put hers up. But for my number 2, I'm going to go over to Ohana and do the Ohana breakfast. You stole Tusker House from me. I don't know that we've ever done a trip where we haven't done Tusker House. So Ohana does a character breakfast. It has Mickey. It has Stitch. It has Pluto. It's just... What's that?
Some random other people.
Yeah. But just a really good... But the star of this character meal is the food. It is a family-style breakfast. Great family-style breakfast. You get your eggs, you get your meat, you get the monkey bread, you get the pog juice, which is that special juice that you can get there in a Tusker House. It just really cool atmosphere. Great place to start your day if you're going to the Magic Kingdom or if you're going to Epcot. So really, really cool character breakfast there. Ohana's, I think it's the Lilo and Stitch. No, I think it's just the Ohana character breakfast, honestly.
It is. No, I don't think it mentions Stitch in it at all.
Yeah.
And Stitch normally just meets you in the lobby as you're getting ready to check in.
What's that?
I said Stitch normally just meets you in the lobby as you're getting ready to check in.
Pluto does. Stitch is in the restaurant.
Oh, Pluto's slumming out in the lobby.
Yep, Pluto's slumming out in the lobby. Peter, what's your number 2?
Well, we did. Stitch was waiting for us. Anyway, I was going to go to that one. I thought about going to that one in number 3 because I was going to say, well, staying on the monorail loop. I'm also a really, really big fan of that. But I'm going to go ahead and then jump over to another park. And the park I'm going to jump to is Epcot. And so you could go a couple of ways with character meals here at Epcot, but the one that I'm going to go with as something that I really enjoy is Akershus. Akershus is, did I just take your number 1?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Yeah, so there's Garden Grill and there's Akershus, and Garden Grill has unique things, but Akershus is my favorite character meal over at Epcot. And the reason for that is kind of the same reasons why I really like Tusker House is you get to go in and you get to meet the princesses. It's one of only a couple handful of character meals where you get to meet princesses. And what's wonderful about this place is, again, you get an authentic, unique culinary experience. It's not just arbitrary things off of a menu. It's very, very Norway, Sweden, that type of Scandinavian culture, food. It's got a wonderful salad bar, especially if you are a lover of those cuisines. The cheeses and the meats that are on that like appetizer salad bar area are fantastic and delicious and kind of normalized to that Scandinavian culture. And then the food is just fantastic. The meatballs and the steaks that are there and oh my gosh, I am so excited that Akershus is back because it has been gone for so long, and you better believe April 4th, I am coming for you, Akershus. I am coming for you. I am so excited to see you again. I cannot wait to sit down in Akershus and just dive into some gravy and some meatballs and oh, yes. So, obviously in the Norway Pavilion, by my alluding to it, just outside of the Frozen ride, which is just, again, kind of awesome. You can Frozen ride, you can meet Anna and Elsa, then you can jump in there, meet Ariel, Belle, a lot of times Snow White, Cinderella, Jasmine. You kind of never know who's going to pop up in there.
Yeah. And for your pickier eaters, if the Norwegian fare scares you, you can do a breakfast there, and the breakfast is family style, very traditional American breakfast, bacon, eggs, toast, bread, that kind of stuff.
That's not back yet, but
yeah, but it will come back, and
eventually.
It's awesome. So be on the lookout for that as well. So let's get into our number one choices. And we could both do the same one for our number one, but I'm gonna let you keep it.
I got another number one.
Yeah, I've got three that I could that I could go to here.
Three number ones. They were supposed to be number 1, 2, and 3.
I know. So my number one is going to be Trattoria al Forno and the adventure breakfast.
That was my backup.
It is just a fantastic. So they only do it at breakfast. Great breakfast, great value, very unique character set. You get Rapunzel and Flynn Rider. You get Ariel and Prince Eric. Now, granted, at time of taping on February 7th of 2023, it is not back yet, but it will come back, and it will be glorious when it comes back because it is one of our favorite breakfasts around the park. If we had a favorite breakfast, this would be on our list as well because it is such a good breakfast as well. I love getting the Italian omelet with the gravy. It's fantastic. The pile of pancakes. They're these big, fluffy, thick pancakes that make a tower of pancakes. Just really, really, really good food. Great characters. And that is why Trattoria al Forno is my number one. Peter, before you get to your number one, where can people find you?
Well, Matt previously mentioned the Wix site, so obviously you can head over there and put in our little vacation planning request form. But obviously, if you just find me on Facebook and send me a messenger, we can kind of expedite the process, immediately start touching base with one another and getting things figured out. When you first reach out, I'll just ask to just kind of set up a chat, take about 30, 45 minutes, get an idea of who you are, what you're trying to accomplish, and a little bit about your traveling party. And then from there, it really is smooth sailing. I don't know if a lot of people kind of it's very easy to get overwhelmed by Disney World, but when you incorporate a travel planner, it really, really does become smooth sailing. Everything, I've planned so many vacations that I just have sort of a system. And to you'll sit here thinking, oh my gosh, I feel like we're not getting ready. But to me, I'm sitting here going, here's our deadline, here's our conversation, here's our deadline. You're going to go, you're going to be fully prepared. And it's going to be a really, really stress-free situation to the best of my ability. So Facebook's the best place to find me. Just type in Princess and the Mouse Travel. You'll find me right there standing in front of Everest. And I would love to work with you on your vacation this year. 2024 is not open yet, but I'm willing to start having those conversations if you want as well. So happy to talk to you about it.
All right, so what is your number one? And this isn't a huge surprise because, again, I think if we did a top breakfast, this would be your number one breakfast as well.
Probably. I agree. And I'm glad you brought up Trattoria al Forno. I love those characters, but I'm going to be kind of sad when they come back because right now, Trattoria al Forno, you get the exact same menu items that Matt was talking about.
It's like half the price.
Third of the price. It is. I still go to Trattoria al Forno every trip, and I have one in March, early April, that I can't wait to go sit down and have the delicious food. So anyway, my number one. Yep, no surprise, not even a little bit. My number one is one of the hardest breakfasts to get on property right now. You will be lucky if you're staying for a 5 or 6 night stay to get it on one of your last couple of days at 60 days out, and that is Topolino's Terrace. And where this is located is at the Riviera. And so if you are a fan of this show and you follow us, you know that that is where I DVC at. It is on the Skyliner. My 2 favorite parks are Hollywood and Epcot. So the fact that I can Skyliner from my resort to the main 2 parks that my family spends time in, and at this resort, on the top floor of the side building is Topolino's. Now be careful, because if you go and just go in the very first door off the Skyliner and take the elevator, you will not find Topolino's. You got to go to the far side of the building and go up to the top floor. You'll find Topolino's. Here's what makes this place amazing. The characters are unique. You've got Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and Daisy, but they are in French Riviera inspired costumes, like Renaissance style. You got a painter, you got a sculptor, you got a writer, you got a ballerina. So you got all these like artistic nods. The food is fantastic. Some of the greatest breakfast food that I've had on property has come out of that kitchen. And even though it's a menu thing, it's still all you can eat. That's kind of a pro tip. Sounder. Even when you sit down for a character meal that is menued, it is still an all you care to eat. It is a fixed price, and this goes for all fixed price places. If you are ever paying a fixed price at Disney, it is an all you care to enjoy meal. You are like, I have eaten at Hollywood and Vine and gotten 3 different things off the menu before because I just wanted to try them all because it was a relatively new menu they pushed out. But anyway, back to Topolino's. Fantastic food, fantastic experience, wonderful. It's just vibrant and lively. The song that they sing is just so fun because it's a play off of the same melody for "The Sun is like a golden yellow cherry," and so the whole song is just very upbeat and lively, and everybody's clapping and having a great time. And then you can look out on the balcony and you can see Tower of Terror in the distance, especially on a hazy morning. It's just beautiful and so picturesque being up that high, enjoying your meal. It is a wonderful, wonderful character experience. And the cat is out of the bag because, as I said, it is a hard one to book. So that is where the expertise of a travel planner, if you think, oh, yeah, on our second day there, we're going to go to Topolino's, I will go, no, you will not. So Topolino's, I think, hands down the best character meal. And it's crazy the list that we went through. And we didn't even bring in, like, the most iconic one.
Yeah, we didn't touch Royal Table. We didn't touch Crystal Palace. We didn't touch 1900 Park Fair. I mean, there's a lot of good
Did Shannon
meals.
have one that we didn't have?
What's that?
Did Shannon have one that wasn't on our 6?
No. Her number 3 was Trattoria. Number 2, Ohana. Number 1, Tusker House. Like I said, our family's such a fan of Tusker House. It's just
going to be your number 1?
Yeah, it probably would have been.
Oh my goodness! I stole your 1 at number 3.
But like I said, you know, that's one of the huge advantages of the dining plan when those are available is most of your character meals are single credit items. So for the same price as, you know, sitting down at a Mama Melrose, you could do a Trattoria Al Forno or a Tusker House or something like that, and get that character experience as well for the family. So it makes a lot of sense for families when they're doing that dining plan to load up on some of those character meals, because they're usually buffets or all you care to eat, family styles, something like that, to where you're going to get a lot of food, and that could be your one credit for the day that you use. And B, you get the characters. So if you want to sit down and just knock out 4 or 5 characters to get pictures with and to get signatures and all that kind of stuff, it's a great way to do it. So, again, character meals, awesome. I'm always going to be a big fan of them. And, even in the planning stages, I'm always going to push character meals, because there are a lot of good character meals that offer some value as well. So, great top 3, Peter. Again, if you want to tell us why we're wrong, let us know in the comments. Put it in the chat. Let us know in the podcast, on the rebroadcast. Let us know what your thoughts on character meals are. With that, another top 3 show is over, and we're going to go to a client question. So, here we go.
Do you have questions concerning planning a Disney on the show, or submit them on our website at patmdisneytravel.wixsite.com/planning.
So, in this week's client question, I'm going to kind of go with a request.
What is your favorite character meal?
No, a request we got overnight last night, and I think this is a pretty good topic. Is who can stay at Shades of Green?
Wow, that's a good question.
Yeah, so we had a veteran reach out to us. Him and his family want to go to World, and the first thing that I thought of was, what's the availability at Shades of Green? I've got family. It's my wife's family that is retired military. They stay at Shades every trip that we go down. So what is actually the requirements for somebody to stay at Shades of Green?
This is a really great question, and it's funny because I have a little bit of experience. I'm pulling up just so I don't miss any. So give me just one moment, because I am pulling it up here. I actually, through no fault of my own, it just sort of happened. My wife was friends with someone she graduated from high school, and her husband is active military. And so I've actually planned several stays for individuals who are eligible for Shades of Green. So I'm going to go through the list, because I didn't want to make sure I wanted to make sure I didn't exclude anybody. So I'm just going to kind of go through the list, and then we can see how we kind of fit in there. So active duty and reserve for National Guard, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Space Force, Coast Guard, and Armed Forces Academies. So if you have a cadet at West Point, or if you have a cadet at the Naval Academy, you are able to book at Shades of Green immediately while you are still in Academy. That is a little known thing. If you are also in the NOAA Corps, which is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, if you are in that corps, as well as Public Health Service, if you are in those governmental realms and you work for the government in the National Health Service, you're able to go there. Then from there, we have a lot of former, okay? So we have veterans that exited the military with an honorable discharge, anybody in there that are retirees. You have individuals like spouses who are surviving spouses of former active military members. Disabled veterans are able to go, and they get kind of a better discount on it to acknowledge them for their service to the country. Individuals who are in the Department of Defense, are able to go in many different situations. So basically, what I can tell you to kind of sum that all up is if you are about to serve, currently serving, have served, or a loved one passed away while honorably serving our country, which thank you so much for your loved one and their sacrifice. I will say that right now because I am a massive supporter of our military services. They do things that many of us couldn't even fathom what they do to keep us safe and protected. And so pretty much if you fit into any of those categories and you are interested in a shade of green stay, the worst thing that you can do is ask, right? Like ask to see if you can. And on top of Shades of Green, because Shades of Green is a fantastic thing available to our armed forces currently and previously serving. The active or former member does need to be actively on the reservation. So you can't just book like your cousin. Now you could, if you're the active duty member, you could book your spouse and family. Let's say you're busy, maybe you're serving a tour even, your spouse and family, if you're about to go on duty and you want to do something special for your family, you can 100% book your spouse and kids to go to ease what is absolutely the mental anguish of your deployment. All of that totally fits into Shades of Green. And so Shades of Green is kind of just off of Polynesian. It kind of shares the same actual entryway as the Magnolia and Palm and Oak Trail golf courses is where Shades of Green is located. So it's relatively conveniently located to Magic Kingdom. It runs buses constantly the same way as the rest of Disney Transportation runs buses. So you don't have to book. It doesn't work like a Good Neighbor hotel. It is a separate but very, very full Disney experience. And then on top of that, if Shades of Green doesn't have availability or you want to be maybe more immersed in the Disney atmosphere, I can tell you that almost always there are not secret, but not publicized. So they're secret in the sense that they're not well publicized. There are almost always discounts for military members and their spouses just in Disney hotels. And the way to access those is by getting with a travel agent and having them call on your behalf, or going and calling them yourself to discuss with them your military discount. There is one kind of sticky, interesting thing about military staying at Shades of Green or using a military discount. This is kind of interesting. You do, if you are active, you do have to purchase the ticket, and the ticket can be purchased at 3 and 5 day increments. You do have to purchase it from your base command. It's very, very.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, because the ticket is also military discounted, but Disney can't sell you that ticket. I can't sell you that ticket. You have to buy it from your base post if you are active in any way. So whether you are active and stationed, or active and your spouse is stationed, or whatever else, if you have access wherever you are commissioned out of, whatever your base is, you have to buy the tickets from base post, which is kind of a subtle nuance. Again, this person happened to ask somebody who has booked several of these vacations, so I can give you quite a bit of information. I sort of became the unofficial Fort Bragg Disney booker for several years. And so, that's the ins and outs of Shades of Green, and also Disney's approach towards honoring our serving members and their families. So thank you so much for your question. And again, anybody watching this segment, thank you so much for everything that you do for our country. Cannot express my appreciation enough to you.
Exactly. Thank you, everybody, for your service. That if you've served, have served, are serving, going to serve, thinking about serving, we appreciate everything that you do for our country. So thank you very much.
I'm sitting safe in my house on a Tuesday night, making a podcast about Disney entirely because of you.
Yep.
That's the long and short of it.
Yep. Well, Peter, great show tonight. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and get into the outro. So Peter with Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel joined us tonight. We talked about the Tron seat fit issues and had a top 3 about character meals. If you're looking for us on the web, you can find us in a lot of different places. Easiest places over on Facebook at DPI Podcast, over on Twitter at Disney Insights. Probably watching us on the YouTube channel, Disney Planning Insights Podcast, and our Instagram page is going to be at Princesses and the Mouse. Find us, like us, share us, do everything you can to support us. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for watching, listening, liking, sharing, everything that you do for the podcast. We will be back with you again next week on Valentine's Day. Have a good week.